This is All India Radio. In Surkhiyon Mein, now we bring you a program on India's strides in geospatial technology and beyond.
Maps and accurate geospatial data are crucial for national infrastructure projects such as linkages of rivers, creation of industrial corridors, and deploying smart power systems. Emerging vibrant technologies like Digital India, smart cities, e-commerce, autonomous drones, delivery, logistics, and urban transport require a leap forward in mapping with greater depth, resolution, and precision. In every economic endeavor spanning agriculture, finance, construction, mining, and local enterprise, India's farmers, small businesses, and corporations alike stand to gain tremendously from the application of innovative technologies based on modern geospatial data technologies and mapping services. The Department of Science and Technology has announced today India's geospatial mapping guidelines specifically for Indian companies. As per the new guidelines, what is readily available globally does not need to be restricted in India, and therefore geospatial data that used to be restricted will now be freely available in India. Our corporations and innovators are no longer subject to restrictions, nor do they require prior approvals before they collect, generate, prepare, disseminate, store, publish, update digital geospatial data and maps within the territory of India. Speaking to media after releasing the guidelines, Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today said that the new geospatial guidelines will act as a catalyst in achieving Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and goal of a $5 trillion economy. Dr. Vardhan said startups and mapping innovators will be trusted to self-certify, apply good judgment, and be relied upon to demonstrate adherence to guidelines. He said this policy will enable Indian innovators to create substantial advances in mapping, ultimately making lives easier and empowering small businesses.
These new guidelines, they are going to liberalize map making and democratize geospatial data sets, which is the crucial requirement for the geospatial industry. And that's, I think, the most important thing. At present, without these guidelines in place, several 100 billion positive sectors like farming, mining, urban construction, transportation and delivery, location services for e-commerce, communication like 5G, etc., they are all suffering because of the non-availability of high-quality maps, which are critical for these key sectors of the economy. Since government is committed to removing all the legacy bottlenecks towards achieving this $5 trillion economy and the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we decided to bring in high-resolution maps that will remove all the previous problems. Location and tags added to the data shall make it geospatial and its value will increase manifold. Availability of data and modern mapping technologies to Indian companies shall also be crucial for achieving a manifold jump in our economic growth. Existing guidelines for acquisition and dissemination of geospatial data generated in the country, they had become quite redundant by now, and we have now chosen to replace them once for all. The new guidelines will also institutionalize the ease of access to geospatial data produced using public funds as envisioned by our Honorable Prime Minister.
Addressing the press conference, DONAR Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh, who is also in charge of Department of Space, said that the centre has taken a historic decision to completely deregulate geospatial map making and unshackle the geospatial sector in India for the first time in over 7 decades. He said that the decision is an extension of a series of visionary reforms undertaken in the space sector on the intervention of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
In a very revolutionary breakthrough, Prime Minister Modi, with his intervention and guidance, we could take the decision to, what I would say, unlock the space sector and to open it to a great extent to private participation in a number of ways which were actually permissible and safe to begin with. And this was a decision which was quite unimaginable till very recent past. And I think as a follow-up of that, now we have moved one step further and made a history today by announcing that map making in India stands completely deregulated from today, that is the 15th of February 2020. And this is in keeping with the agenda which has been followed by this government under Prime Minister Modi, the agenda of self-reliance, the agenda of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And therefore, keeping that as the focus, space technology and mapping would no longer be confined only as a tool to take care of the security areas, but also as a major tool for the development. In the last 3 years, we have space technology being used in laying down of rail tracks, even the mapping of unmanned rail crossings. We have space technology in the smart city program, in the housing sector, in the construction of bridges. We have space technology in a big way in the agriculture sector. We have now actually entered a phase or an era where space technology has virtually entered every Indian household in one way or the other. And similarly, by making mapping accessible to other stakeholders, we would rather be incentivizing them to become partners in the development journey of New India led by Prime Minister Modi.
Professor Asutosh Sharma, Secretary, Department of Science and Technology, said the availability of comprehensive, highly accurate, granular and constantly updated representation of geospatial data will significantly benefit diverse sectors of the economy and will significantly boost innovation in the country. He added this will greatly enhance the preparedness of the country for emergency response.
There are three major objectives of this guidelines on geospatial data. First of all, the ease of collecting the data, using the data, sharing the data, basically liberalizing whole sector of geospatial data in collecting it, in using and sharing it, so with the ease of doing business. Second thing, which basically means liberalizing by deregulation, which means no prior approvals are needed for doing the survey, for surveying and for mapping and for building applications on that. It's also about democratization of data, which means the sharing of data by all the agencies of the government that collect this data, both with the public and private sector for development. In addition, that this goes a long way in the Atmanirbharta mission in products and services and delivery and infrastructure planning. This is indeed a historical turning point in 250 years history of surveying and mapping using modern tools in India. And this would indeed be something that would create the level playing field both for public and private entities in collecting geospatial data and using it. This is the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, vision and direction which is removing constraints and removing unnecessary regulations that delay our developmental goals, which is also maximum use of technology or modern technology, for example, drones and LiDAR and satellites and the ground truthing for collecting data with the speed and scale which is required. There would finally be an interministerial geospatial data promotion and development committee with representations from all the relevant ministries, and the committee's mandate is to totally empower geospatial data sector, which is going to have huge impact on economy. In fact, the size of the geospatial data sector businesses is estimated to be 1 lakh crore by 2030, and the impact it has on economy is multifold compared to that.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hailed the decision of liberalizing the policies governing the acquisition and production of geospatial data. In his tweet message after the release of the new geospatial guidelines, Mr. Modi termed it as a massive step towards the realization of the vision of building an Atmanirbhar Bharat. He said the decision will provide huge impetus to digital India. The Prime Minister added that the reforms will unlock tremendous opportunities for country's startups, private sector, public sector and research institutions to drive innovations and build scalable solutions. He asserted this will also generate employment and accelerate economic growth in the country.
You were listening to a program on India's strides in geospatial technology and beyond. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.